What's up, everybody? Getting started a bit early, just to make sure everybody can find a place to sit, because we got a lot to talk about today. Catching up on part four of the ham radio crash course. Get your technician license. I missed last week because I was dying. I was on death's door. I had the flu, had all kinds of stomach grumblies. It was not a good time. Not a good time at all. So, catching up on everything, I learned something very impressive based off of all of you wonderful people. I got a ton of comments from people, not just people saying, hope you're feeling better, because not many people knew I was sick. But I got a lot of comments from people saying, we really like what you're doing. I'm going to go get my license. I already picked up a radio. Motivation to get it done. And that was like one side, right? That was like the inspirational side. Like, that's awesome. And then my own personal inspiration side, I got messages from people saying that they got their technician license. A few people said they went and sat for their technician license. They studied a bit for general, and they got their general too. That's awesome. Super awesome. How are we doing here? People rolling in? Yeah, what's up, guys? Starting a little bit early here. I'll hit my my normal. Mention the beer of the day. Well, City of the Dead is, I guess you can call it the pre-beer. The pre-beer for the stream. I have another beer behind me that very special. So we're pulling out all the stops. I want you to keep in mind too that I am streaming in 1080p. At least it should be. So you can see my little friend, the pocket operator here in the corner. Should be able to see it in high resolution. Speaking of that, let's change the pattern up a bit. So, what we're going to do today is we're going to continue along talking about ham radio. We're going to talk about the legal side of things. And what I mean specifically is some of the FCC rules and guidelines, which aren't all bad, right? I think a lot of you know me. Not really a big fan of the government. I'd rather do things on my own and be responsible for myself. But a lot of the guidelines the FCC has, they're not bad guidelines. I'll just say that up front. What do we say? Safety third? David Bond, here from Illinois. I've been waiting to watch this for weeks. Nobody's late. Nobody is late. You're coming in at the right time. I started a couple minutes early just to get all the kinks out because I haven't done this in a couple of weeks. Literally, because again, I was sick. I was really sick. I had the flu. I was gonna try to do it up until a couple of minutes or a couple hours before the stream, and I couldn't do it. So I apologize for anybody that was planning on watching it. I felt really bad, but we'll get things back online here. So, again, we're gonna go through the ham radio. We've been using the ARRL Technician app. We've been using Gordo's book, which is behind me, but the link is in the description. I still recommend, if you're doing this on your own, read Gordo's book. Get started reading Gordo's book. Go through the whole thing. Go through from the front to the back. Read it as intended. You don't need to jump around. You get the whole deal from it. One of the best ways to learn it. For those of you that is a little bit more technically minded, go ahead and get the ARRL Technician app. That's what I've been using. That's what I've used to get my general. That's what this is before Technician. I got my Technician before there was really like proliferate applications out there. So get the app. It's really easy to go. And it shows you when we switch over here. It's going to show you a lot of where your weaknesses are when you take the practice test. And then you can focus on that like a laser beam. And a lot of the reason why I apologize, I know that the title of this is not very interesting. Let's talk safety and legal. The reality is that a lot of this stuff, I'd say probably close to 50%, is going to be just rote memorization. You're just going to have to remember it. And there's a couple of ways to remember it, which I'm going to try and work out with everybody, try to get them to understand why. Anyway, so I'm going to cut over here. Before we do that, I'm going to do a couple of, we're going to do this throughout the live stream. When I was sick, and for the last couple of weeks, I've been getting a ton of messages. And I realized that, these are all really good messages that I should just do on a live stream. And you guys can talk back and forth to me on it. I think it'll be helpful to a lot of people. So we're going to switch over right now. So where's my Q&A? Right here. So, all right. So I got this comment, and I apologize. most of these came from YouTube, so your name is there when you're commenting on my stuff. But anyway, Ray asks, recently decided to pursue my technician license and probably try for general at the same time. I mentioned this, I use this comment because it's a really, really good thing to try and do both at one time if you can. If you have that in mind for it, if you have that interest, study for the technician, and if it was like, oh, I have no problem with this, study for the general as well, and then just roll them both if you can do that. It'll save a lot of time, and you'll be able to go right into HF. I am doing, what's going on with my chat here? Let me fix my chat. Hosh Daddy. Oh, I already mentioned it, but I'll mention it again. The pre-beer, this is the pre-party beer, City of the Dead by Modern Times on Nitro. I found this interesting. So City of the Dead's a pretty solid beer. Stout with cocoa nibs, almonds, and sea salt. And you can get a hint of sea salt. Really weird. Really weird. Okay, so I've been following your YouTube stream. I have a very old iMac. Okay, this is a really good question. And I'm thinking about buying a new PC Mac, not locked into either flavor. Would you see an advantage to one platform or the other? Starting out with two Baofeng UV5Rs, is there a better software package for either platform? Thank you for your time. So straight up, the platform for Baofengs is Chirp. Use Chirp. You don't need to go any further than that. Okay? Now, the difference between Mac and PC. I am a Mac user at home. I'm a PC user at work. While I am a PC user at work, I often use Solaris and Linux and Unix. If you are a heavy Linux person, a heavy Unix person, Mac would be fine. If you don't want to mess around with any of that, Windows is the preferred platform. And the reason Windows is the preferred platform is because software and drivers are generally written for Windows, and they kind of like splatter out for Linux and Mac. You will spend a lot more time racking your head against the wall trying to get something to work on a Mac than trying to get it work on a PC, a Windows PC. So if you want to avoid headaches and you just want it to work, now understand, I'm a big advocate of multiple computers. So if you want to have a computer that's focused for programming radios and maybe working digital and some other things, go with the Windows PC and just use that. That's great. If you want to have a personal Mac that you can maybe splash in some stuff with, maybe get a little cross-pollination and get more involved in the hobby, do that too. But generally, Windows is the preferred thing. I want to mention too, everybody that's watching on YouTube, I'm kind of simul-streaming over at gunchannels.com. We have a group over there called the Ham Radio Crash Course. You can find it by gunchannels.com/channel, the word channel, then /ham radio, all one word. So we have some comments coming in over there. The Pant says, moon's over my hammy. All the Californians have Macs. That's true. And it's a law. G-Web said it's a law. Yeah, seems about right. So with that said, I'm actually really interested in playing with some Raspberry Pis to kind of... I'm thinking about figuring out how to do more APRS stuff, Whisper and some other radio thingies with Raspberry Pi. Very low power, very convenient in that kind of sense. So, we've got two questions back to back, and then we're going to jump over onto the iPad. So, the question from Joseph. Good morning, I'm new to ham radio. I bought 3, and then he says Baofeng, from eBay, and couldn't get any one of them to give me any results. Can you help? So, this is just purely a shout out to my own Amazon A store. Guys, I picked this question for a very specific reason. I noticed that my influx of questions has gone through the roof. And a lot of them are questions on dubious radios purchased in other... actually, gunchannels.com, no longer channels, just gunchannels.com/ham radio. Really easy to find. So anyway, back to the question. I picked the items in the A store because I know they work. And I know that when you buy them, you're not going to have to send me a message saying, hey Josh, this thing's a piece of garbage. Why did you tell me to buy this? I don't recommend the cheap cable because I don't want to be everybody's IT, although I kind of am. I'm IT for a lot of people now. But I noticed that too. I'm getting a lot more IT questions regarding radio. So if you're going to buy on eBay, or the next question, same question basically. I bought a Baofeng. There's no information on the Baofeng website. Got it from AliExpress. So you're gonna see a lot of that. The cables that are the counterfeit cables, I don't support them because I don't want people commenting me and saying, hey, why doesn't this cable work? You're a jerk, you recommend garbage. And the reason that I would get that comment, this almost goes back to, there's a reason why I put all these questions together. Going back to the Mac question, if you use the counterfeit cable on a Mac, you're going to have a really hard time because the driver CD that comes with the cable, the little one with the panda on it, or the little itty bitty one, it doesn't work with Macs. So you can't use the modified driver. If you can't use the modified driver, the counterfeit cable won't work, because if you use the legit drivers won't work with the counterfeit cable, right? Of course. So that's why I recommend the $20 cable. A question in the chat. I programmed 15 Baofeng radios and it was easy using Chirp. Exactly. Yeah, you can go look at any one of my videos. I think I have like 4 or 5 separate videos on programming the Baofeng with Chirp. And it is. It's constantly updated. They're constantly, and it's not just the Chinese radios, or Chi-Com as we call them. It covers Japanese radios, Kenwood, all the major ones. David Bond, Chirp is amazing. His video on setting up Chirp really helped me. Oh, I didn't even know there was a video on that. So I didn't even know Chirp had a YouTube channel. So go check that out too. Apollo, watch YouTube videos or find an Elmer. Yeah. Hopefully I'm kind of doing a little bit of both here. So Tejas 57. There's one hell of a learning curve to programming a Baofeng. My cable is not here yet. I'm hoping it's in. Yeah. So I do not recommend manually programming a Baofeng. It's a total pain in the butt. Apollo, good on you for programming it manually. I don't want to mess with it. You can create a cheat sheet. There's actually a YouTube video on, he makes a Baofeng cheat sheet that like walks through like, hey, do this, boom, 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 and then you've got it programmed manually. Go ahead. I don't want to do it that way. And I don't want you messaging me saying, Josh, tell me how to do it manually, because I don't know. Okay, so I'm going to switch over here. We're going to talk testing. So let me go back to the Amateur Radio Prep app. The ARRL app. Today we're going to go into practice question pool. And we're going to focus in this T1 section, right? Because the T1 section covers FCC rules, descriptions, definitions for amateur radio service. Pretty straightforward. I'm going to try and move through these pretty quickly, and I'm just going to explain why, and then we'll move on. And the point, hopefully, is you're going to hear me say it, and then you're going to remember it, and then you're not going to have a problem. With that said, the way the test is broken up, a lot, not the majority, but a lot of questions are going to be FCC rules and compliance. So you should at least try to put some focus on them, but they're not the fun stuff like how do radios work, the Ohm's law, and how do repeaters work, and how do you operate, right? So which of the following is the purpose of the amateur radio service as stated in the FCC rules and regulations? So it's a service, right? So let's say you can skip over the rest of them and say advancing skills in the technical and communication phase of radio art. That's a really nice high-level business statement. So it's C. What agency regulates and enforces the rules for the amateur radio in the United States? Important note, FCC. Question in the chat, where do you get the practice tests at? So there's 2 ways I'm recommending practice tests. One, go to the link in the description to my Amazon store and get the Gordon West book. It has all the practice tests in it. It's really nice because the way it's laid out is really easy to digest, and there's lots of really good what they call ham tips. And then I'm also using the ARRL, so ARRL applications that are for both Android and the iPad, the iOS, so go get those. Okay, we got it right, the FCC. Which part of the FCC regulations contains the rules governing amateur radio service? There's only one answer to this. The only way you're going to remember it is just you always remember it as 97. It's just 97. Okay, so just commit 97 to your brain. Anytime you see 97, and part 97 specifically, you're probably good. I'm moving quickly on the rules because I appreciate that it can be boring. I'll try to point out how I try and remember some of this stuff, and hopefully it helps you. So which of the following meets the FCC definitions of harmful, there should be quotes around that, interference? All the rest of them are kind of like annoy, unwanted, static, meh, nothing. C, which seriously degrades, seriously obstructs or repeatedly interrupts the radio, right? Easy. Which of the following is a purpose of the amateur radio rules and regulations as defined by the FCC? Enhancing, this is training. Oh, these are enhancing international goodwill. Yes. Yeah. So, which of the following is a purpose of the amateur radio service rules and regulations as defined by the FCC? You don't provide inexpensive communications. You don't. And training operators in the military. Definitely not. So you can admit that. And remember I said, careful, all things that are all of the above are not often all of the above. So don't even worry about that. Which of the following services are protected from interference by amateur signals under all circumstances? Radio navigation. Now, some of you are going to note that the practice tests we did in the last 3 of these videos, some of them have shown up again, so hopefully you're noticing that and you're remembering the answers. What is the FCC Part 97 definition of telemetry? It's one-way transmission of measurements at a distance from a measuring instrument. Okay? That could be a weather station, could be a balloon with some kind of sensor on it, could be a satellite. And yes, that's what we call the downlinked data from a satellite. We call it telemetry. Those in the business, such as myself. Which of the following entities recommends transmit, receive channels, and other parameters for auxiliary and repeater stations? This is frequency coordinator. Okay. Now, if you get involved with a club or you get involved with a repeater or a series of repeaters, you're going to have occasional involvement with the frequency coordinator. It's a volunteer position. It's not picked by the FCC. And actually, here's the following question. Who selects the frequency coordinator? And it's C. Amateur radio operators in a local or regional area whose stations are eligible to be auxiliary or repeater stations. Boom. Okay. What is the FCC Part 97 definitions of an amateur station? Okay, this is an important one. Okay, remember it sees D, any radio station for hobby use? No. Any radio station operated by a non-professional. Now, you could be a professional and still operate as a ham radio operator. A building where amateur radio receivers, transmitters, and power amplifiers are installed? No. A station in the amateur radio service consisting of an apparatus necessary for carrying on radio communications. Think real high level business or what do you call it? Like a business, not a business plan. Your thesis, your motto, your creed, whatever. High level question. Boom, easy. Stupid question. Who picks your call sign? The FCC picks it. The first 2 letters are usually based on your area that you live. I'm a KI. And then 6 is usually dependent on when you got, and then the suffix, your last 3, is random. Now, you can pick a vanity call sign. You can go through the FCC, just look up Google vanity call sign, ham radio, amateur radio, and you can go through that process. I haven't. I liked mine. It's KI6NAZ, Kilo Igloo 6, November Alpha Zulu. That's my call sign. NAS, right? Kind of like Nasi. Nasi. I thought they worked. And NAS and then I, pretty easy for CW, right? So NAS, really easy for CW. Dash dot, dit dash, dit. Easy. When is willful interference to two other amateur radio stations permitted? At no time. At no time. At no time. Question. Alex Mendoza, are you a part of the Los Angeles Emergency Repeater Association? I'm not. Oh, and we got East Los Angeles. Nice, in the house. AD6UP, awesome. And Alex, also sounds like you're in the LA area too. Love the Southern California folks. No, I'm most active on the Santiago Peak Spark repeater. You may know some of the colorful background of that repeater. That just happens to be the most effective repeater for me to get to from an HT. So that's often where you'll sometimes hear me. No, I don't know anything about that. So if you could, Alex, could you send me a message on Facebook? under Hasnasi, and just send me the link, and I'll go check it out. Because it's probably better for me to hit... Where's go ahead and post in the chat where the repeater is. On what mountain in the area is it. Don't mind that. Which of the following is permissible use of the amateur radio service? These are easy. Broadcasting music. No. Copyright. No. Not okay. Yeah, Long Beach is close for me too. Providing a way for amateur radios to earn additional income. No. Oklahoma in the house. All right. Oh, Apollo. Got it. Okay, cool. Providing low-cost communications for startup business. No. Allowing a person to conduct radio experiments. So that's a big part of the amateur radio service, right? That's why I recommend learning how to read a schematic for electronics. That's why we built those kits in the past. That 40-meter receiver that we built not too long ago. It's all about experimentation, having fun. I've built up multiple wires, built up a lot of antennas to do APRS, even using a Baofeng. Hook my cell phone up to my Baofeng, and I'm communicating on APRS. I should make a video on that. What is the FCC Part 97 definition of telecommand? Okay, so a telecommand. I'm going to go with telephony as far as like a communication that's between two nodes separated by space and time. Or not time, and then a command, right? So what is that? It's a one-way transmission to initiate, modify, or terminate functions of a device at a distance. Boom. It's not a measuring instrument, okay? It could be a patch panel for a phone system. What must you do if you're opening on the 23 centimeter band and learn that you're interfering with the radio location station outside the United States? Radio location. Important, right? Really important that you don't interfere with that so people in your area can see how far they are or do propagation reports, all that. So, okay, here's a good rule of thumb that applies to like most of this stuff. If the question is you are doing something potentially bad and one of the options is stop doing it immediately and take steps to mitigate it, it's almost always that. It's A. There you go. Okay, so we just finished T1A. Okay, right? So we went through the whole thing. Those are pretty straightforward. I think those are pretty straightforward. So I'm going to switch back over to Q&A and we're going to read another question. Why did it restart? I don't like that. So this goes back to the last live stream we did. Somebody asked me, since you are on ham radio, I would like to ask you a little question. If you don't mind, can you add a private channel to the Baofeng UV82? And I had to clarify, what does private channel mean? A channel that only me and my friends and no one else can hear. And the answer is encryption is frowned upon by the FCC. So much so that it's illegal, technically. So understand, amateur radio exists in these predefined spaces, RF space, frequency spaces. It's a band plan. It's based off of if you can only operate between this frequency and this frequency within a particular band, what can you do with it? And then they kind of chunk it up into pieces. This is CW, and this is phone, this is digital, and this is whatever. In no way is any part of the band plan allocated for private encrypted communication. If you want to do private encrypted communication, I suggest you seek a career in the military, because they use that all the time. Next question. Hello. I recently found your videos on YouTube while researching two-way radios. I've been looking to purchase a BF F8 HP, which is the radio I put on my channel. It's the radio that actually I recommend over the UV5R if you can push it, if you can get the. It's more expensive. Featured in many of your videos, but I'm wondering if you have had any experience with the BF F9 V2 Plus. Any input would be great. So I put this in here for a very specific reason. Oh, that's interesting. Luke mentions there's usually 10 people listening on any frequency. I mean, in the entirety or any particular single frequency and offset? Like, down to the little minute. I don't know that that's true, necessarily. But it's a good rule of thumb to keep, that there's somebody always listening, most likely on the radio waves. because it is in the open. Now, I put this question here because it's really important that everybody, if you're watching this, please commit this to memory. If I don't have the radio, or I haven't mentioned the radio, or I haven't made a video on the radio, it's because I don't own the radio. So the chances of me doing a review or having a thought about it, if you don't provide me any details, it's basically like saying, hey Josh, can you go Google this radio for me and then tell me if I should get that radio or not? I know you're not saying that. I know this person, Carl's not saying that. And I appreciate he's not saying that, but imagine if it was Carl times 20 other people every week that asked me, hey, could you review this radio? No, I can't. Unless you want to send me it, or contact Baofeng and have them ship me a boatload of all these radios, and I'll review them all, and then I can tell you which ones you should get and which ones you shouldn't. Likely they're not going to do that. With that said, if you do want me to look at a radio spec sheet-wise, send me the spec sheets. If you want me to compare and contrast, you actually don't need me. Amazon is a really good way to review the spec sheet, right? You just compare the radios in the lineup. And Baofeng is horrible with this. They've got this alphabet soup for how they name their radios. But guess what? They're mostly all UV5R based radios. That's what their game is. They make radios that are all fundamentally based off of the UV5R. Whether they're 4 watts, 5 watts, 8 watts, they all have pretty much the same functionality. They just dress them up a bit by making them slightly water resistant or a different case or whatever. So, if you've seen the BFF8 review, that's the one I recommend. That's the one you should go with. Any flavor of the week radio that you come up with, and here's the trick, is that they always post like new model or greatest, latest, updated model. It's crap. They're just screwing with you. Stick with the BFF8 HP. It's one of the best HTs I've purchased in a long time for the price. Okay, let's go back. So we got that out of the way. Let's do 2B. 2B or not 2B. What is the ITU? An agency of the United States Department of Telecommunications Management, a United States agency for information and communication technology issues, an independent frequency coordination agency, a department of the SEC. I totally forget this one. It's international, so we know that much. And I want to say United Nations, but that even seems like way too much. I want to throw a shot in the dark and say an independent frequency coordination agency. No, United Nations? It is. Okay, so there you go. Just commit to memory. What's the ITU? Just think of the I as international, and it's for basically the FCC of the international space, ran by the United Nations. Never forget that. There you go. What are the frequency assignments for some U.S. territories different from those in the 50 U.S. states? Some U.S. territories are located in ITU regions other than Region 2. I'm pretty sure that's correct. It is. So just commit that to memory. Apollo Raiders. What's eBay? Why are you mentioning eBay? Caesar Ortiz, where is a good source for parts? My battery lock went kaput. Oh, he mentioned, he's saying eBay for parts. Yeah, I don't know where you get Baofeng parts other than buy 3 Baofeng, and then when one breaks on you, then you've got parts. You salvage the one that broke for parts. Which frequency is within the 6 meter band? 6 meters is going to be... So if 2 meters is 144... 144... I actually don't remember this. Is it 49? 52. Yeah, 52. 50. I had to do some quick math there. 52.525. Okay. 2 meters is 144. 70 centimeters is 440. So you're going... As the distance gets smaller, the frequency in megahertz goes up. 70 centimeters is 440. 2 meters is 144. That's like the front half, the left side of the band. So if you say 2 meters, okay, so we went 70 centimeters, 2 meters, now we're doing 6. It's like a power of 4 difference. Power of 4, roughly, a little less than that. So 50 is better than 49 in this case. Because, let's see, 10 meters is going to be... 20 is 14, 7 megahertz is 40. You'll, believe me, when you start playing around with HF, which a lot of people are going to play with HF when they get their technician license, Just remember 6 meters, 52.525 when you see the question on the test. Which amateur bands? Am I getting chats on the gun channel side? No, doesn't look like it. Anyway, continuing on. Which amateur band are you using when your station is transmitting on 146.52? I just mentioned it. 2 meters. 2 meters. 2 meters. There we go, 2 meters. The 70 centimeter frequency is authorized to a technician class license holder operating in I2 region 2. It's easy. If you remember it's in the 400s, you're fine. 400. 443.350. Which 23 centimeter frequency is authorized to a technician class license? 23 centimeter is 2315? No. Wait. 23 centimeter. Oh. It's 1296. Again, there is somewhat of a math thing you can do, a conversion. At the same time, it might be easier just committing these to memory. When you have a dual band radio that does 2 meters and 70 centimeters, it's really easy to remember 146 and somewhere around there, 144 to 146, and then 440 to 446. Easy to remember. What amateur band are you using if you're transmitting on 223.50? That is the 1.25 meter band. Easy. George Romero just received my BFF8 HP with the correct cable for Saturday. Any advice on adding repeaters or any I should stay away from till I get my technician ticket? No. In fact, it's the law of like load it all up there, listen a lot, take notes of which stations, which memory channels you're not using, delete those, and consolidate until you get a really nice, concise group of repeaters. I mentioned I made a video on Broadcastify, the website. Go to your area, use the map to pinpoint your area, and then program all those repeaters into your radio, because those repeaters, if they're on Broadcastify, it means they're trafficked by a lot of people. Easy. I made a ton of videos on that. Just go check out the Ham Radio Crash Course. The shortcut should be a card somewhere up above my head. Just bookmark that puppy and just go through them all, and you'll be as smart as me in no time. Just kidding. Okay, which of the following is a result of the fact that the amateur service is secondary in some portions of the 70 centimeter band? U.S. amateurs may find non-amateur stations on the band and must avoid interfering with them. You can stop right there. There's your answer. If you're secondary, it means other traffic is primary, meaning if you encounter it, you can listen to it all you want. You can have a fun little time with it. It's kind of like working shortwave, although not, because it's not shortwave. But don't interfere with them. Just stay out of the way. Easy to remember this one. You're secondary, meaning you're a backseat. You're the redheaded stepchild. You're riding bitch. You're get out of the way. Why should you not set your transmit frequency to be exactly at the edge of an amateur band or sub band? And that's so. I talked about this before in the last video, particularly if you are using single sideband or FM, something that has a very wide bandwidth. It's so that your modulation does not extend over the band range. No. Drift? All? Okay, all. All right, you got me on that one. I mentioned that most of the time all of these choices are correct is not true. I'd say it's probably 20% of the time that's the correct answer. I guess those all work. To allow for calibration error in the transmitter? Sure. Your transmitter, particularly if you hand-built it, it's not going to be a precise instrument, and you don't need it to be a precise instrument. You're tuning to find other people, or you're tuning to what you believe is the right thing, and you may be off back and forth. But Apollo Raiders, do you have a tiger tail? You're going to have to tell me what a tiger tail is there, good buddy. I don't know what that is. I don't know what that is at all. Tell me in the chat. Which of the bands above 30 megahertz that are available to technician class operators have mode-restricted sub-bands? This is a good one. Okay, I remember this one. I think it's A. It's either A or D. No? Oh, man. So, okay, never mind. It's C. So I thought 70 centimeters meant that one. This one tripped me up the last time. So try to remember that. Above 30 megahertz? Above 30 megahertz. Yeah. So 6 meters doesn't... No, it does. 70 centimeters. Anyway. Just remember it. Just remember the answer. 6 meters, 2 meters, and 1.25 meters. Let me see. What emission modes are permitted in the mode-restricted subbands at 50 to 50.1 megahertz and 144.0 to 1441? Usually the lower side is CW and data. So it's either going to be CW only or RTTY. No, it's CW only. A piece of wire. Oh! Apollo Raider is asking me on my HTs, do I run a ground plane or a wire that comes off of the ground? I don't. I know that there are plenty of people who recommend them. In fact, I have a, this is my go-to radio, my Kenwood D72A. I have a extendo antenna on it. No counterpoise. Now, good question that you mentioned this, and I'll take a brief moment to go on a tangent here. I bought a ton of antennas for Baofangs. All kinds of different antennas, thinking that I was going to make a comparison video, and I still am, but the problem with that is they're extremely difficult. I attached them to my antenna analyzer, this massively expensive device I bought, and it won't work. The reason is the ground. And why is you're the ground. You're holding this thing close to your face. Your face is acting as the ground. Your body is acting as the ground. The chassis of the radio is acting as the ground. You are the ground. It's possible that I could attach in fact, I'm going to try that after this video is done. I'm going to attach a 12-inch length of copper wire to the antenna connector and see if that improves my SWR. Because it's possible that I'm just not getting the right ground balance. Because, again, these antennas are designed with rigs that mimic a human being holding the unit when they transmit and when they test the... yeah, exactly. You are the ground plane. So, yeah. So testing that when you're not the ground plane is difficult. Anyway. And what's up? Abilene's in the chat. Why are frequency assignments for U.S. station operating maritime mobile not the same everywhere in the world? Amateur radio frequency assignments can vary among the 3 IT regions. Go. That's the answer. That's it. Yeah, and so a ground plane match to a vertical antenna lowers your SWR, which can have the effect of lowering the noise on your radio, but again, you're squelching for noise most of the time, and it can help the radio be more effective in resonating on a given frequency. That's something, so grounds are just part of the game when you're talking HF. It's the whole game. It's one of the most important things of the game. So, what emission may be used between 219 and 220 megahertz? 219. Data? Data? Or TV? Data. There you go. Usually on the lower side, that's where you see CW and data and stuff like that. And fast scan television is going to be higher frequency. Okay, so that was that one. Let's go do another question. So we're done with T1B. Again, hopefully that a lot of this stuff, you just remember it. Data, CW is on the left side, the lower side of the frequency band. If you can remember that kind of stuff, you'll do well. Ontario Man 100. They make the test so hard, I just like to listen on mine to get my gun license. It was like 20 questions and was allowed to get 4 wrong. This test is very technical. The ham test here. Oh, yeah. So I take Ontario Man to mean Canada, and yeah, they have 100 question tests. In the United States, we have 35 questions, and you're only required to get 75%, right? Something like that. We get a better time at it. We talked about that in the last stream, too. All right, question. Oh, my goodness. It starts over every time. I got to fix that. Can you do a review on the UV5X3? I already mentioned this. If you want to send me on the radio, I'll review anything you want. With that out of the way, if most likely I haven't made a video on it, it means I don't have it or I don't recommend it. I don't like being a jerk, so if I don't review a product and I own it, the only exception is the Kenwood D72A. This thing's just so feature-packed that I'd end up making a video that was so long that I would kill myself. So I haven't made a review on this. Highly recommended, though. Love this radio. I should actually make a video on the D72, like I did with the Baofeng, where I showed the screen and showed you walking through it. But, oh man, that was such an undertaking. Such an undertaking. Apollo Raiders, 50% of the test is common sense. Yeah, in America it is. In Canada, I don't know that that's the case. I heard that the Canadian test is actually pretty tough. It's more tough than the United States question test. Oh, this is a really good one. Trying to get 100 people in my live stream to join it. Oh, cool. Thanks. Appreciate it. Lee Bros Gaming. Appreciate it, man. Paul's asking, hey there, love your channel. It's been exceptionally helpful with my new BF F8HP, and I was wondering, when and what radio would you recommend to a newer ham that's looking to upgrade his or her capabilities with a mobile unit? Great question. I've gotten a ton of questions like this from people. And so what is a mobile unit? In the easiest definition, it's a radio for operation, obviously mobile, but largely probably connected to a car using the DC off the battery, the automobile's battery. So there's a lot of options. You can go full Chinese. In fact, I have a TYT 9800. I'll post it in the Amazon store. I don't necessarily recommend it. It's worked great for me for years. It's mounted up underneath my dashboard. It's got a pop-off face. I picked a radio with a pop-off face that I could mount it nicely on the front of the dash and not obstruct the dash panel. Works fine. All that is just a glorified handy-talkie, though. It doesn't even have half the features as this thing does, though. It's a 50-watt radio. 50 watts, 2 meters and 70 centimeters is really great, particularly if you put a nice antenna on it. Mine, I think I've got a 3.5-foot, 4-foot multi-band, 2 meter, 70 centimeter antenna on it. Works great. I've had it for years. Beautiful. Great. So that's your baseline. If you have aspirations of doing APRS, or if you have aspirations of using your Kenwood to maybe talk to a Kenwood mobile radio and use this radio, talk to your car, so you're on a hike, right? So you're on a hike. You're talking to your car is boosting your signal to 50 watts and blasting it out so you can get out to your repeater that you couldn't get to anymore at 5 watts. 50 watts will get you there. That capability exists, right? That capability exists on the Chinese radios too, but it's already all integrated and tested on the Kenwoods. Yaesu's got the same thing. ICOM's got the same thing. If you want to do APRS, if you want to digipeat, if you want rig control, or what they call Sky Command in Kenwood, there's all these functionalities of radio, or if you want to do digital. A lot of mobile radios are really good at digital, like really good. And digital radios on 70 centimeter and 2 meters perform better than analog, meaning they'll go further. They're more in the noise. Your radios can pick up the digital signals better in a high noise or low noise, but the degraded signal. Yeah, so there's so many different, I'm not answering the question really, I'm saying that it really depends on what you want out of radio. So you owe it to yourself to sit down and think about what you want. Maybe you want a $200 Chinese mobile radio just to get on the radio and talk on the repeaters, and then you'll make a larger decision later into something like a Kenwood or a Yaesu. So yeah. Jeep Thing Outdoors. What would you recommend to a mag mount antenna for my Baofeng? Almost anything mag mount. Ooh, Jeep. So you said Jeep. You gotta have to specify. Is it a Wrangler? Because Wranglers don't really have a metal roof. They don't have a ground plane to attach a mag mount to. So maybe you're talking about a Cherokee or something like that. Yeah. Antenna options on cars. So I'm of two minds on the whole thing. One, be a man, cut a hole in that roof and put the mag mount, or not the mag mount, put a real hard mount in there. The next person you sell your truck to is going to see that and go, hot damn, particularly if you do a good job at it. So just do it. Man up, put a hole in your roof. That's the right answer for me. I put multiple holes in my cars. I've got my side mount, which is not in the roof, but my side mount, because I didn't want to obstruct my cargo rack on my Xterra, is off to the side. I put in multiple bolts into the side behind the taillight, and I kind of like, Grand Cherokee. So yeah, you got a ground plane. The problem with mag mounts, particularly on SUVs, is you're going to put the mag mount up there, you're going to put a nice antenna, an MFJ, for example, for 2 meters, 70 centimeters, and you're going to go right in your garage with it, and you're going to rip that thing off the top of your car. It's a problem that you have with a lot of these stuff, because these antennas are rigid antennas. You can get whips, but whips have their own problem. They're not that well matched. Comment, Apollo Raiders asked, any dual band antenna? I think he's answering a question, but I would recommend Comet or Diamond. Great. My 4-band, it doesn't work well on any band other than 2 meter and 70 centimeter, but it's somewhat resonant on 6 meter and 10 meter. Is a Comet. Works great. Alright, enough lollygagging. Let's get back in here. Listening in on the interstate, Carrie Blackwell. How's it going? Awesome. Alright, we're going to dive into Group T1C. Real quick, I'm going to see how we're doing. We got a pretty good amount of people watching, so appreciate everybody hopping in and checking things out. Lip mount is what I'm doing. So Abilene says, lip mount is what I'm doing, and ground off the paint under the lip to better allow the ground plane. I can't say enough good things about the Larson 270B. Yeah, lip mount is great. I'm assuming lip mount you mean hood? Hood lip mount? Is that right? Hope so. The other thing that I've done for 20 meters, when I wanted to connect my 20 meter CW QRP radio to my my car, I used an MFJ roof rack mount on my painted, nice metal roof rack. And the ground strapping that I used for the ground, it used this ground barrel connection. There's a screw that mounts this wind diffuser. I just took some sandpaper and buffed up the area to remove the coating. I put that copper ground connector right to that and bolted it down. Works great because it's using that whole roof rack as a ground plane. It's a big roof rack, or cargo rack. Works beautifully, beautifully. Trunk. Abilene Augie says trunk for the lip mount. So yeah, trunk lip mount. I have 2 of those. Used that for years. I ran a trunk lip mount for my 2 meter 70 centimeter quarter wave antenna, which is a Comet, on my Honda S2000 trunk mount. Beautiful. I was able to go from Cerritos and Whittier, California, all the way to Catalina Island. No problem. And from my home on my my mobile running low power, which I think is 5 watts or 10 watts, I can hit the spark repeater, which is like 50 miles away, on Santiago Peak, which is a big mountain. I got a direct line of sight to, but still. Great. All right, let's switch back here. I took that picture. All right, we're diving into Group T1C. Which type of call sign has a single letter in both its prefix and suffix? Special event. Special event. That's just, remember it. And it's good for a couple of reasons. A lot of special event stations can be CW, and you want CW stations to just be hard and fast. You don't want them messing around with a bunch of crap. Which of the following is a valid U.S. amateur radio call sign? 2, number 3. 2 or 1, and then a number and 3. So it's W3ABC. There's always 2 in the front, a number, and then 3 for a standard call sign. And then you can reduce that somewhat with a vanity, or if you have a extra class license, but there's always going to be a number in the middle. So A is 3 in the front, and then a bunch of numbers. No. C has no numbers, and then D has all numbers, a letter, and all numbers. These are easy. You'll be able to remember that. What type of international communications are permitted by an FCC licensed amateur radio station? I believe, so this is one of those ones where I'm trying to skim it. Communication incidental to the purpose of the amateur radio service and remarks the personal character. Communications incidental to business. Only communications incidental to contest changes or communications. Any communication that will be permitted by an international broadcast. I think it's A. It is A. Communications incidental to the purpose of the amateur radio service and remarks of a personal character. So Ragchu. When are you allowed to operate your amateur station in a foreign country? When there is a mutual agreement allowing third-party communications. Nope. What? Which one is it? Oh, I caught myself in a trick. So you can communicate to foreign countries if there is a mutual agreement allowing the communication. But this question is asking, when are you allowed to operate your amateur radio station in a foreign country? When the country authorizes it. Of course, that makes complete common sense. I'm not reading these, I'm just... So there you go. So you got somebody that just passed FN Dude. What's up, guys? Just took my technician test 2 days ago and passed. 7-14 days till I get my call sign. Awesome. So the good news is, well, the bad news for you right now is that you don't have a call sign, so you can't transmit. But once you get your call sign, if you want to go back and get your general, you just use your call sign and just say slant AG until the FCC database updates and says you're a general. So you can be all up in 20, 10, 40, 80, 60 meters and talking like a pro, doing whatever you normally do, or whatever with your general class privileges. You just have to say your call sign slant AG. Cool. All right, I'm ready. We're going to tap in here. I'm going to the back because we're going really, really nice today. So, my beer of the evening, which I didn't talk about because I wanted to wait, is Bourbon County. This is a special Bourbon County stout aged in bourbon barrels with blueberry juice and almond extract added. This beer comes out once a year around Thanksgiving time. They have a couple of different... I almost broke the damn thing. They have a couple of different types they produce. This is a really crazy varietal that I've never had. It's a stout, and it's a barrel-aged stout, so it was fridge cold, but it's been sitting out now for about 40 minutes, which is good because you want it to open up a little bit, not too cold. Look at that. Looks like crank grease. Alright, so we can do a good cheers to everybody that's watching. Thank you so much for watching. Really do appreciate it. I enjoy doing these. I appreciate you guys watching. Blueberry all up in your nose. And a little nutty. Wow. Wow. So, I've always been of the mindset that, like, once you've had a couple of, like, barrel-aged stouts, they start to all kind of taste the same. And this is a barrel-aged stout with blueberries and almond extract. It tastes really good. It's a really good balance. Yeah, the bottle opener. Somebody commented on that a couple of times ago. It's a... Anyway, it's in my Amazon A store if you want to get one of your own. And it's actually really well weighted, aside from the side sticking out. It's really well weighted, so if you like to flip dollar songs, it's great. Question from the chat, Alex Mendoza, have you been to the Phantom Carriage Brewers? Yes, I have, buddy. I work in Redondo Beach. So, live in Cerritos, work in Redondo Beach. Guess what's right before I get on the 91, making that long drive home? Phantom Carriage. Love Phantom Carriage. I love sours. Love sour beers. A lot of people, it's kind of hit or miss. I think it's kind of reached the apex of its popularity and it's starting to drive down. So you really only have the core people who are really into it. But I love it. All right, which of the following is a vanity call sign which a technician class amateur operator might select if available? I think all. W. No, it's A. Yes. Ha! They almost got you. See? All. All these choices are not correct. B at least has to have 2 suffix. Okay? It can't just be KA1 something. Can't do that. No way. 6-pack 110. You have a bourbon county with blueberry and almond extract? Are we drinking the same thing? Wow. Cheers to you, sir. That's awesome. I have had Black Butte Porter. One of my go-tos recently, I spent a lot of time in Colorado Springs, Colorado, loving the Left Hand Brewery. The Left Hand Brewery, the hotel I was staying at, had it on Nitro, the milk stout. Superb. Superb. Whew. All right, so we're moving on. You always get better at ham radio the more you... No, I'm just kidding. Guys, ham radio is serious. Don't be drinking and ham radioing. And if you do, have a designated operator. All right. From which of the following locations may an FCC licensed amateur radio station transmit in addition to places where the FCC regulates communication? From within any country that is a member of the United Nations, from within any country that belongs to the ITU, from any vessel or craft located... I think it's C? Yeah, nope. 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 Wow! Okay, got me. Totally got me. I must not have answered this test 10 years, or this question 10 years ago. From any vessel or craft and documented or registered in the United States. Womp womp. Okay. So, again, read the questions. In this particular case, Yeah, so that makes sense. International waters is not governed by any particular government in any case. But your boat is registered to the United States. So you are the United States. You are the United States. Your FCC license is regulated on the United States. Your boat is basically the United States. D. Got me. Got me, test. See, that's what you gotta do. You gotta practice. You gotta practice this stuff. Alex asked, did you get to try the Bela Lugosi? That was one of my... I had multiple bottles of Bela Lugosi. A buddy of mine... So, Alex, you may be new to my channel. Go to my most recent video. Just do a open new video on my channel. Right-click and do videos. My buddy and I, Darren, my wife and his wife, and we actually have a larger crew. We do the Brew Ho Ho every year, which is a massive beer fest at the Phoenix Club in Anaheim. Phantom Carriage was there the last 2 years. They weren't there this year, but we get all around. So anyway, Jeep Things. I've got to go. Thanks for letting me... Dude, thank you for watching. Please subscribe. Let me know if you have any questions. Send me a message. If you're trying to get your technician license and you get stuck or whatever, let me know, and I'll try and help it with these streams. So, what may result when correspondence from the FCC is returned as undeliverable because the grantee failed to provide the correct mailing address? I love A. I love A. Fine or imprisonment. You go right to jail. You go to jail. So, what do you think of the 147.43435? We refer to that as the 435 repeater. Let me answer this question. It's C, required license to be re-examined. No? No? Oh, there you go. Revocation of the station license or suspension of the operator license. Let me hit this really quick. Obviously, you're not going to be fined and in prison. A reduction of 1 rank in operator class is like a punishment, and that's not really how the FCC works. It just rather suspend you or make you redo it. So you're not going to be like, haha, you were an extra, now you're a general. Not going to happen. So it's B, revocation of the station license or suspension of the operator license, which is you get suspended. You get a suspended license, you got to fix it. You fix your mailing and you're good. Okay, guys, for those of you that don't live in Southern California, there's a repeater. It's known as 435. I believe you could probably Google 435 repeater, just those two words, and you would come up with these repeaters. And it's not the same repeater, and it's historically not been in the same area. It doesn't exist in the same space. It is a... If there was a repeater that was the Mos Eisley Cantina from Star Wars Episode 4, that would be the 435. It is the... What is it? The hive of scum and villainy in all of the land. It is bad. Like, it is... They curse. They break every FCC rule as far as decorum of discussion and things they talk about, etc. So, obviously, I am of two minds on the whole thing. On one hand, I like freedom, and I like the First Amendment, and I like all the things that goes along with more freedom, the better, the more you have access to, the better we are. Whenever you start creating laws and stuff like that, it gets very difficult because you start stepping on people. Hashtag rant Peter, yeah, grunt base station. So don't listen if you don't want to hear that. Okay, so anyways, if you want to hear the 435 repeater, I bet you could go on Broadcastify, which I've talked about before, and you can pull up, what was it, 147.435. And hang on to your butts. Just Google 147.435 Broadcastify. It'll come up. And hold on to your butts. Seriously, hold on to your butts. Like Samuel L. Jackson in Jurassic Park, hold on to your butts. What is the normal term for an FCC-issued primary station operator amateur radio license? It's 10 years. 10 years. 10 years, and then you get like 2 years of suspension if you don't re-up. But do re-up. Because it's like all done on a website now. You go boom, boom, and you're done. What is the grace period for... Oh, it's 2 years. 2 years? Yeah, 2 years. So, you got an expired license. You got 2 years to get it straightened out, and you're good again. How soon after passing the examination for your first amateur radio license may you operate a transmitter on an amateur radio frequency? As soon as your operator station license grant appears in the FCC license database. Boom. Once you have your call sign, which is what we mentioned earlier to the fine young gentleman who just got his license, then you're good. You go to town. If your license is expired and is within the allowable grace period, may you continue to operate a transmitter on an app? So this is a good question. I don't know. So you got 3 yes answers and then 1 no. I want to say D. No, then it's probably A. Yeah, there you go. So no, when you're in the grace period, meaning your 10 years have lapsed, your license is expired technically, you're in your 10-year or your 2-year grace period, can you keep transmitting? No, you shouldn't. You should not. And I think I know a guy who went through something like this. So go get it fixed. I did it in 10 minutes. Less than 10 minutes. Who may select a desired call sign under the vanity call sign rules? Any licensed amateur. Anyone. You get your technician license, you can get a fun little vanity call sign. If you've got a cool little 3-letter acronym, that's your thing. I know a lot of women like to use YL somewhere in their call sign. So it'll be like KI some number YL or BYL or UYL or MYL or whatever. YL stands for young lady. It's a term we use to differentiate a woman. And it's woman. It's not... You don't stop being a YL just because you're really old. It's just YL. So, do they still send a paper license? No. I have my FCC paper license. I've got it somewhere. I've got to put it in a frame and put it up because they don't do that anymore. It's not great, but it's kind of cool. For which license classes are new license? So you got to print your license if you didn't catch that. Hopefully you did. For which license classes are new license currently available for the FCC? Technician, general, amateur, extra. That's it. We had novice, and I believe there was advanced at one time. Don't let that fool you. There's just 3: technician, general, amateur, extra. Who may select a vanity call sign for a club station? Only, I believe it's the license grant. Yeah, so only the person named as trustee on the club station license grant. Sorry, guys, these are the boring questions. These are the boring ones. All right, we're going to take another break. We just finished that before we go to T1D. We're on borrowed time right now. My wife's going to come home any soon. I'm going to have to end the stream. But we're gonna try and get through the Q&A, and if we have to come back to this in part 5, we will. Ay. Oh, you know what? Did we get through all of them? I think we did. With that said, I want to show you this too. I got a couple of things to show you. So one of the things I did when I was sick, when I got better, I put up this antenna. So on my roof now, I have a proper HF antenna. Using the long line from my lot, I put a center mast on my roof about 18 feet up. Once you subtract the poles intersecting each other and being bolted together, I put up a G5 RV antenna, which is a compromise antenna. No one's going to tell you it's a great antenna. It's not a great antenna. With that said, with my 10-watt QRP station using Whisper, which is a digital mode, I was able to be received. My beacon call sign was received by someone on the Canary Islands on 30 meters. Damn. When I saw that report, when I saw the website update, you can go to my Instagram and you can see I put up a picture of the Whisper, and then I went on QRZ and I pulled up the guy. He's got a really nice little page on QRZ. Put his picture on there. Received from the Canary Islands. Awesome. I'm not going anywhere yet. When I hear the door unlocking, I'll start wrapping up. Feel free to stay and ask any questions you want. No, I'm not kicking anybody out. This isn't one of those cheer situations where you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. So yeah, now, in about 3 months, April time frame is my birthday. I think I'm going to pop for a ICOM 7300. ICOM 7300 with that antenna. It's going to be a lot of fun. So I'm very excited about that. But in the meantime, I'm having fun messing around with my little QRP stuff. And hopefully I'm going to discipline myself to get better at CW. Which, in fact, I just realized that's a really good live stream idea. We should do a live stream CW class. So David Bond Whisper, WSPR, is a digital beaconing propagation. Let me pull up. Let me go to the website. It's basically software that you run on your computer, and what it'll do is it'll transmit a digital tone on a specified frequency, and everybody who receives that tone uploads the signal report on a website using like a Google Maps overlay, and so you can see exactly how well your antenna and your rig is performing. It's beautiful. It's so much fun because you kind of just set it up. It runs as a beacon. You don't have to sit there and babysit it. It works really well. So in the chat here, let me post this in the chat so I don't forget. Whisper.org Drew Poll. Okay. So, question. Gizmonline? Yes. Do have concerns about it acting as a lightning rod, because it is pretty high up there, and it's definitely the highest thing up there in the area. I have a 4-foot copper grounding rod, and I've got an area in the garage, which is right here where I'm pointing, so you can see it. It's pointing that way, that I'm going to bury, and then I just have to go right out and then connect it there. And then I can connect, and that's going to be like a unified ground plane. So I'll put, not a ground plane, a unified ground bar. So on my wall, I'll put a ground bar, and then I'll attach all my devices to the ground bar, and then I'll have one feed line going out to the ground. Hopefully that will save my electronics. With that said, if you are concerned about lightning in your area, disconnect everything. Disconnect everything. Disconnect your feed line. Remember the important thing about lightning. Lightning will take the closest path that it can get to ground. So it's not going to come up through the coax and into your shack if it's disconnected. It will try and seek the closest way to ground. And there's actually some spark gap devices that you can buy. So again, if you think about electricity like the flow of water, you want the shortest amount of distance between the antenna that could be radiating with lightning energy. Lightning, I know that's the wrong term. I know I'm totally out of school when I speak, but I'm telling you what I'm saying is sound. You want your antenna to come off and ground to something that has like a spark gap. And they make they're basically like big insulators with a gap in the middle, and that allows the lightning to spark and bridge the gap, and that greatly reduces the effect. And if you've got it off of a ground plane or a ground bar or a grounding bar, whatever, it's likely going to take that path and into your electronics. So please disconnect your electronics, though, if you're concerned. Always unplug your antenna and power when your radio is not in use. There you go. Best thing if you like your amateur radio. Yeah, they will literally blow up. They will literally melt your radios. They will melt your tuner. They'll melt. Lightning will kill it all. Here's a really important thing that I learned about lightning. If you have a ground rod that you've hammered into the ground, you always use a mechanical connection for the ground rod, because if you solder on that wire, solder is a very low melt point, and when the lightning hits that, it explodes solder everywhere and blows solder all over the place. So keep that in mind. No, okay. Apollo Raiders, I agree with you. Always disconnect your radio. And probably not even operate in a rainstorm. I agree, no question. But you should ground your radio. You should ground your radio. You should ground all of your electronics. It also helps your RF, particularly when you're in an office like mine. I missed a chat that I wanted to talk about. Oh, Abilene asked, what did you use to make those maps on Instagram? I didn't. I'm on the Whisper website. I went on my phone and I just took a screenshot. No, I take that back. I was on my computer, took a screenshot of the map, and then I kind of like overlaid everything in Instagram. Easy. Alex Mendoza, can you pick up VHF frequency with a 5R? I go out fishing a lot. Would be cool to hear the captain's chit-chat to see where the fish are. VHF, you're talking maritime. I don't know. Are you talking maritime? Like off the coast? Oh, yeah, that's right, because you're on California. So, marine radio. I don't know, to be honest with you. You might be able to. You might be able to. What else? I'm just reading through comments. So I will go back up. I do have this one last thing, and now that I'm thinking about it, I think it's a really good idea that we do a CW course, because that's going to help me get better, and hopefully it's going to get you to be better. And there's nothing I'd like more than if somebody says, I learned from Hashnasi, and he pushed me to get CW. I'm going to get all kinds of like old dude ham radio points from getting people to think about CW. But you should, because CW is friggin' awesome. The reason it's awesome, and I mentioned this in the previous videos, it has the smallest bandwidth of almost anything we use in amateur radio. Meaning, you can pick it up out of the noise. You can hear it. It could be in places that voice shall never tread. You can pick up CW. Right? CW is awesome. So, learning CW, I'm totally a big fan of. I'm going to post this link in the description for those that are watching after the fact. But this website I use, and it's really, really good, it's really intuitive, is morsecode.scphillips.com/trainer.html. And there are 13 sessions, and you just work your way through the sessions. and it's both about copying the code, and then you get yourself like an MJF oscillator, like a handheld oscillator that has a speaker on it, and then you practice sending, right? Because the problem that people get in when they start messing with CW is their dits and their DAWs start to like meld together, and they don't sound as good, right? So, yeah, okay. So where do we end up? I think I'm going to end it here, though. So we just started with T1D. I'm going to make a note of that when I wrap this up. Yeah. Okay, cool. I got some interest in the CW class. So there you go. Apollo answered the question. Yes, yes. Chirp will program marine frequencies. Boom. There you go. Yeah, I don't God, I don't really know of. I just haven't experienced much of the marine stuff. Even though I live in California, Southern California, I don't really listen to it. I listen to airwave a lot. Planes when they pass overhead, I listen to that. Oh, good, George Romo. So I don't want to steal any of the thunder from a CW class, but so how you learn CW? Back in the day, when the military started teaching people CW, they thought that they would just teach people at a slow word per minute, 5 words per minute, and then just keep rationing it up. The problem that people found from that is that they were consciously counting the dits and the DAWs. And so they were thinking, oh, that was a dit, daw, dit. That's an R. Or dit, daw, that's an A. They were perceiving the sounds and then making a mental translation in their head and then spitting out the character. The time it takes for your brain to hear and then perceive and then write or do whatever is wasted time. You'll never go above 5 words per minute. When we say, hey, B. Girk! What's up, bud? Girk! We got my buddy Girk in here. Continuous wave. CW is continuous wave or Morse code, more commonly known as Morse code. So, Morse code, a guy named Farnsworth discovered that the best way to learn Morse code is at the fast word rate of minute with a large gap in between. And what that does is it allows you to hear the letter as almost a musical. It should be musical. It should almost be a perceived note. Like if you can play music by ear, that's what you're trying to do with CW. Da dit. Da dit. That's an R. Da. It's an A. You don't want to consciously think of that was a dit and a daw. That's an A. It's just an A. It doesn't need the translation. That's why children learn language so easy. Is they're not saying, well, in my language this is cat. In this language this is gato. There's no translate. You don't translate. It just is what it is, and that's it. So the Farnsworth method of learning is what they use on this Morse code trainer, and then they also use something called the Koch method. The Koch method is a modification of Farnsworth. And what the Koch method does is it gives you letters a few at a time. So you just practice on 1 letter at a time. And then 2 letters, and then 3, and then 4. And you start to build words, but you're still just focusing on those few letters until the point that you learn the whole thing. CW is, I have a great big monstrous goal of learning CW this year, or getting better at it. It's something that, like, it makes so many things easier. You can go further if you want to talk DX. You can get more contacts if you do SOTA. You can do better at QRP because people don't really know if you're QRP or not when you're on a paddle or you're doing CW or Morse code, because it is or it isn't. They hear you or they don't. They don't question whether you're QRP or not. And you can rag shoot. You can talk to people. Luke McSee, where are you at? Luke, what part of the country are you in? Sounds like when you read letters that are out of place and still. Yeah, it's kind of, that's actually, George Romo, it's kind of an interesting way of thinking about it. Yeah, it's almost a muscle memory. It's not, but it almost is. You're trying to lay in this concept of hearing a pattern as the letter. You don't consciously count the dits and the daws in the pattern. You just acknowledge what the pattern was that you received, and it is what it is. So there's very little translation. It's just receiving. And that's how the people get really fast. The people. That's how people get really fast at CW. Is that they learn it as a language or as like a musical thing. Windsor, near Detroit, Canada. Right on. Cool. Yeah, the only Canadian I know that well is Biker Bob. Biker Bob and the guys from Open for Discussion podcast. I met them at VidCon. Well, let's see. I'm going to take another quick pass over the comments here. Do we have any other comments? Otherwise, I'm getting a nice little buzz, so we're going to leave it at that. Questions. David Bond, I'm really interested in SDR. SDR is another huge hobby within the hobby of ham radio. If you're talking receivers, nothing cheaper than getting that $20 dongle that's on my Amazon store. But if you're looking at transmitting, or for me, actually, I'm going to get another one of those dongles, and I'm going to build a scanner, hopefully with a Raspberry Pi, that will scan, like an oscillating scan through my local fire, police, and municipal frequencies. And I'll just use those 2/3 dongles to do it. Really, that's a cool project. That's going to go on the list too, but man, I've got more things than I can make videos on right now. Yeah, mobile CW in a truck. Yeah, I want a leg paddle, and I want to be working CW and just have people like, I hate this guy. I just hate that. He's got the aux cord connected to his radio, and he's just... I want people to get super pissed off when they hear me. That's what I want. I just want to be rocking CW with a banging sound system and just going crazy. That's what I love. That'd be hilarious. Yeah, man. Girk. No big deal, dude. Just go back. Go to the shortcut. I think there should be a card above me. Just go to the shortcut. Go to the live streams where we started working through the book and started working through the app. I apologize. I feel really bad now because you bugged me about doing something like this in the past and helping you out a bit. And I think I pointed you towards the Gordon West book. That's what I'm using. And I'm using some of the apps on the ARRL on my iPad. You can do it on your phone. Yep, UV5. Yeah. So we've gotten older. I recommend the UV5R. No, I'm sorry. I was recommending the UV5R. Now I recommend the BF-F8 HP, which I think you got the BF-F8 HP. I would recommend that. George Romo, is that texting and driving? I would love having a cop pull me over, sees my, I got an iambic key strapped to my leg. Sir, what are you doing? Sir? 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 And he's got the flashlight. Sir? Sir? What is that? Oh, somebody's at the door.
Is your phone off?
Yeah. Okay. Party's over, guys. Party's over. I turned my phone off, so I have this nice... Everything's cool. Not good. That was bad. That was a bad call on my part. Guys, all right. I appreciate you all so much for watching this. I had a great time. This is a really good episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it too. If you want to message me, please don't message me on Facebook. Message me on Instagram. I'm sorry. See? That Bourbon County. Bourbon County, though. No, don't message me on YouTube. Don't message me on YouTube. Message me on Facebook or Instagram. YouTube messages are the worst. Please message me on Facebook or Instagram. And I am responding. I have a really good response rate. Got a lot of people who are helping, hopefully, with this. Hopefully you'll get there. And then we'll all be on the waves together. The airwaves. All right, what are we saying? Put me down for seated. Yeah. Hold on, I gotta go to the bottom here. Good stuff. A lot of distracted driver laws have exclusion for ham. Yep, that's true. Ham radio is excluded in a lot of things, but at the same time, there's nothing funnier than having a paddle on your leg. You're just rocking the paddle, and the cop's like, What the hell are you doing? All right, that's it, guys. If you have not already, please subscribe. I'm gonna try and do these. I've been doing these every week, except for when I get massive flu. That can't be helped. All right. So, like I said, send me a message, and that'd be great. And again, I've got a. This YouTube, man, this YouTube just hates. I love it. You got to go all the way out. I should do something on this where you got to go all the way out and then you got to go all the way back in just so I can click the button to like close down the stream. Otherwise, I end it from my streaming software. All right, there we go. Now we're done. All right, love y'all. Post in the comments. Send me a message, really. Send me a message and I'll try and screen cap and we'll do the whole thing.